How are we, guys? This episode I'm going to be doing a little bit of edging with machine edges. So I've got a bit of a variety of edges that we're going to be able to use. We've got a Atom edger, which is probably the most popular edger on the market for contractors at the moment. The blades on it are a little bit worn down, so it won't cut as good as what I want it to, but I have a funny feeling it's probably going to be the best of the lot. We've got the Kombi tool edger, which goes on the Stihl Kombi tool. So this one's got a brand new blade on it, so we're going to use that. I've actually used this a few times doing jobs, and the reason I like doing it is because it's mobile. With normal edges, you're sort of just going straight down, where with the Kombi tool edger, I can sort of almost do it on the side a little bit and trim underneath it, and then put it vertical as well. So I quite like the Kombi tool edger. And then we've got this Tornado Victa edger. So it's got the 3 wheels on it. Murphy's Law, when something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So last night, the blade engage cable snapped on me, which is just, truthfully, it's just my luck. I think something always goes wrong. And what I did was I just tied a ratchet strap to it, and that's my new cable. So we've got the Tornado edger. That'll work fine. That's also got a brand new blade on it as well. That's got the TriStar blade on it. In one of my earlier episodes, I had spoken about how I have 2-stroke is red and my poison is blue, so it doesn't get mixed up, and I put it in containers that I had spray painted on them. Now I've got a little bit of backlash for that, rightfully so. So I'm not even gonna bother defending myself on that. I went and got myself the proper bottle. So I've learned from it. The constructive feedback came my way. I listened and I got myself the proper 2-stroke bottle. So we have progress. So thanks, guys. So we're using the Atom edger. We're doing it on this overgrown edge on my street. And I figured we'll clean up the nature strips in my street first, and then we'll just see how far it takes us. Blade is quite short on this, so we're probably going to struggle a little bit, but I still reckon it'll do a bloody good job, because I only just used it yesterday. I reckon I got through it pretty bloody quick. Once we've shoveled it all up, we'll give it a bit of a hit with the brush cutter just to get any of the little bits of grass that's still on there off, and then we'll show you the after result. You can see I have the brush cutter guard on with plenty of use. Look at that, all the use on that brush cutter guard. The video that I'd done beforehand was to show you guys the bevel edge. Obviously I don't need to do that anymore. Brush cutter guard goes back on. Let's get it done. So that was the Atom edger that we used. So you can see the finished product. I don't know if you can see, but this is where the edges were. You can clearly see it from where all the dirt was. So they were out quite a fair bit. We've brought them all back on both sides. Ultimately, I think that Atom edger, if it had a longer blade on it, which it should have, would have been perfect. It done exactly what I expected it to do. I did have to go over it with the brush cutter at the end to snip all the long straggly bits of grass, which was expected. I mean, you can't be expected to get every single piece. I did have to use a shovel to scrape it afterwards. Obviously these edges were quite overgrown, but I mean, for the finished result, it was great. And when you're using it, it sort of pulls you along as well. So you've got it at full throttle and it pulls you along. So it's almost like it's, in a weird way, that blade is kind of like a self-propelled sort of thing, because it's pulling you along every time it turns. So I think for jobs where you got really overgrown lawns, I think that the Atom edger probably does a faster job than what the brush cutter would. I think that the Atom edger would take you a little bit longer to do each of your regular edges, but ultimately it does a better finish. So I think that because of that, yeah, obviously it's up to you. You got to choose your customers. So here we've got the Victa Tornado Edger. So we're going to see how this one cuts. I think because this one has a better blade, it actually might do a better job. It'll be interesting to see how it tackles going over the long grass on the footpath and if it's able to keep that straight line. Look, the new blade definitely helped, and I do like the TriStar design on it. I think that definitely helps out a fair bit compared to the other edges. Ultimately, I just think it lacked power. It really struggled as soon as it got into anything tough, and the blade would stop, you'd have to pull it up, you'd have to get momentum back in, put it back in and go for a little bit. And as soon as it hits something tough again, it's slowing down again. So I really think that this thing lacks quite a fair bit of power. I definitely wouldn't use it for commercial use, but if you're an everyday homeowner and you're doing your edges all the time regularly and not doing edges that are well and truly overgrown, then this would be fine. There'd be nothing wrong with it. However, for commercial use, I just don't think it's got the amount of power that you need to be able to cut through. Time for the brush cutting. The Victa Tornado Edger, as I said, I don't think it's for commercial use. However, I'm just not sure if my little doohickey blading gauge ratchet strap was the reason why the blades kept on stalling. So we'll never know from that. I think that it obviously went deeper because it had a brand new blade on it, so it was easier for me to shovel up the dirt and all the grass that was on the footpath. That was definitely easier for me to do. But yeah, for residential use, I can't see why not. I'm a bit hesitant on the commercial use though. But ultimately, look, it's come up nice. It's come up how we'd want it to come up. And I think that the neighbors are gonna be pretty bloody happy with me. Beers are on them. So we're at another house in my street with edges that are overgrown. This time we're going to be using the Stihl combi tool attachment. Brand new blade on it. I like it because it's maneuverable, so you can get into different angles with it. I like using the straight shaft. I believe it has, because it's direct power, I believe it has a bit more torque in it. You feel like you have a lot more control with it. When you're actually on the concrete edge, you can feel the concrete edge. If you need to make any quick movements, you can. And it definitely had, even though it's only on a brush cutter engine, it had well and truly enough power. Like it powered through that. Now, the edges on this weren't as overgrown as the other edges were. There was one on the driveway just here that was a fair bit overgrown. But ultimately, I just think the fact that you can pull it up and put it down and be able to control the revs a bit more, control where it's going. I didn't feel like at any point I was gonna not do a nice straight edge. I reckon this one's the best one so far. The grass is literally just like peeling off. I barely even need the shovel. It's coming straight off because I've obviously cut it close enough to the edge. Obviously it's a lot more precise. So, I mean, look at it. Like a hot knife through butter is how I would explain that. That is the edger of choice. If you've used the Stihl combi tool edger, let me know in the comments what you guys think. But you can't, like, how can you argue with those results? I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Just how deep it got. And it didn't feel like it slowed down at all. It really got in there. The other thing with this edger I've noticed is I enjoy using it. For some reason, I get excited to use it to see how well it goes. I didn't feel that same joy with the other edges, so I think this would probably keep me wanting to push and go harder all day, every day. So we've finished doing this nature strip now. They weren't as overgrown as the other ones we did, but you can see they were sort of out to here in some sections. We also had parts that were like that deep, especially around the drain where the tree is. I believe that it did a fantastic job. I'm happy with the outcome of the lawn here today, and I think that, you know, if the neighbours take a bit more care of it, the grass will grow a little bit thicker. They'll be able to cut it a little bit lower, and the edges obviously won't be anywhere near as hard to do. I'm glad that we were able to help out the local community today. Out of the 3 edges, I would say that the Stihl combi tool edger won the battle today. They all needed me to use the vertical edge brush cutting to finish it off, you know, nice and neat, get rid of all the straggly bits. I would say that the edger needed me to do the least, sorry. And also I didn't need to use the spade as much with this one either. So all in all, we've helped out the community, and I think we've had a pretty good day. So thanks guys, see you next time.